Welcome to the Rethink Leadership podcast with me, Jeremy Blain. I interview leaders, experts and business professionals from around the world who are bringing leadership principles and know-how into the digitally driven 21st century workplace, with focus firmly on the how-to rather than the what. Each episode is in aid of a charity chosen by my guests, and since 2020, we've made donations to over 80 global and local causes. Welcome to this episode of the Rethink Leadership podcast with my guest Fatoumata Diallo, the founder and CEO of Gamaal, a platform that empowers communities by celebrating cultural diversity through traditional home-cooked meals, while providing financial independence to home cooks. With over a decade of experience in business development and managing impactful projects, she's spoken at forums like the UN, the African Union and the UK Parliament. In addition to her professional achievements, Fatoumata is a recognised advocate for social impact and inclusion. And in fact, her journey has been featured in media outlets and podcasts, including Camden New Journal, Influence Magazine, and Women Disrupting Tech. We talk about her journey from her very beginnings in Guinea, right through to Belgium and into London, where she lives now. This episode is in aid of CamFed, supporting girls' education and women's leadership. We've made a donation as a thank you to Fatoumata for joining us, and you can check out this great cause at camfed.org. Fatoumata, thank you very much for joining me. Please introduce yourself, your business and your passions.
Good morning. Good afternoon, Jeremy. First of all, thank you so much for having me on this amazing podcast, Rethink Leadership. It's a topic that I'm super excited and passionate about, so thanks for having me. My name is Fatoumata Diallo, and I am the founder and CEO of Gamaal. Gamaal is a home-cooked food app which recently launched in the UK and is available on the Apple's App Store and Play Store here in the UK. The mission is to provide international flavors cooked by local mothers. I normally like to say, think of it as your grandma's best recipe from around the world. So the drive is really coming from a place of giving a platform to women, mothers that are oftentimes, in the shadows, but yet they happen to be the best cooks. They happen to be the one that sprinkle this, the spices of love in the food. And they happen to be coming from all around the world, from Pakistan, from Bangladesh, from Senegal, from Argentina, from all over the world, from China, from Philippines, and, giving them that platform where they can share their cultural recipes with the rest of the world. That's what Gamaal is about. And that's the mission that I am on at the moment.
Great. That sounds great. I really like that. The international flavors by global mothers. And I know what you mean around that, those recipes. I know that my auntie who lived over in Asia did a mean adobo, and nobody can beat it because it's how she does it, isn't it? And that's I guess, at the heart of your business.
That is really what it is. And you really do feel this special signature coming from that person. You feel the love of that person into the food. You really feel the intention that they put into it. And I want to say, you really feel the part of their story into the food. It's so much more than food, actually. It's like you're really being transported into the world of this wonderful human being, into the culture of this wonderful human being. There's a real dialogue happening there, and it is so beautiful.
Well, talking about wonderful human beings, he said, segueing beautifully into the next question. Let's talk about you, and let's go back to your childhood and how you grew up, because I know that you overcame some challenges, grasped opportunities to kind of where you are today. How did that shape your journey?
Okay, so that's a brilliant question, and I think to understand this, we really want to go back a little bit into my childhood. And I was born in Guinea-Conakry, which is a francophone country in West Africa. So most people don't know where it is, but it's where you have Morocco, and then you have Senegal, and next to Senegal you have Guinea. That's where I was born. I'm the first of six. And when I was 3 or 4 years old, I was sent to the village to live with my grandmother. And so, at such a young age, I was separated with my mom, my dad, and my younger sister that came after me. And so I was sent to a different environment. I was in the village. And but there's something that I really learned being next to my grandmother is all the love that she gave me. She was really this lady within the village. She was the epicenter of the village. She was filled of kindness. She had lands and hectares of all kinds of fruits and trees and vegetables. And anybody that would pass by, they would walk away with something. They would walk away with a gift. They would walk away with a bunch of bananas, a bunch of freshly grown avocados or mangoes or anything she could give them. And so she was that person that everybody could relate to, that everybody could receive some attention and love and care from. So, from a young age to have access to such a character, it really shapes me as a person, because today everything that I do, it starts from that place of kindness, of care, of service, of love. And that's what humanity needs at the core, at the most. So that's me, for, probably from 3 to 7 years old. And then at some point, I come back to the city to live with my mom. But that's quite short-lived, because after a year, she moved to Belgium with my little sister. So my dad had traveled to Belgium, and he managed to settle. And with some saving, he could only afford to bring my mom and my little sister at that time. And although I was, just starting to rediscover who my mom is, and also get to know my little sister and having so much love for her, but yet we are separated again. And I have to live with family, extended family, but that's my mom's sister. I am under her custody. And again, the second most important character in my life. So it is this older sister of my mom. And she was an incredible go-getter. She was this figure that, was hardworking, and she would hold the whole family together. She was that person that would feed everyone, that would, provide for everyone. She was the one that was holding families together. And I was lucky enough to be under her custody, because I was learning about life. I was learning about hard work. I was learning about providing for family and being selfless. Again, that's coming back here with my auntie. So I spent a couple of years with her. I do go to school, but I must admit, I really never succeeded at school. I never really understood anything. And it wasn't only my plight. I think it was the plight of many children during, the late 80s and early 90s in that country, in Guinea. So again, I do develop a lot of love and admiration and respect for my auntie. She loved me to the moon and back. And I was the only child with her, because her two children were grown up and they had left the household. So at some point, now my dad manages to bring me over. So at the age of 9 years old, I come to Belgium. And I come to Belgium. This is quite funny, because I'm 9 years old. I'm coming to a complete different world, complete different culture, complete different language. I don't understand nothing. I cannot read, I cannot write, and certainly I cannot speak French. So, and I come to this big world where, there's infrastructures everywhere, there's light. It's like you're coming from an underdeveloped place to a developed place. And oh my God, what you see as a child is just phenomenal. So at that point, again, the third most important character, my own mother. And growing up, getting to know my mother, really, I would say for the first time, is only around 9 years old. And with her, I do learn the principles of integrity. And that's very important. She's that hard character, and everybody respects her within the community. But she's known for this lady with integrity, this lady that always speaks the truth, this lady that is not afraid to speak the truth. She could be sitting in a room filled up with men that everybody is afraid of. She would say her opinion. and that is my mother. And of course, growing up now, I am the eldest. I have two younger brothers that were born in Belgium. So I'm coming from Africa. I have this, this experience of life. I understand my role as an older sister. I'm almost like the second mother of the household. So I do play that role of almost the mother. I do take care of my siblings. So pretty young, I have that role of leadership, and I really never complain. I take it as an opportunity, and I have a duty to serve, and I have a duty to make life easy for my mom and my siblings. So this is me growing up in Belgium and adapting, having to adapt real quick. But there's a shift that happens at some point, is that I really understand the chance that I have, and I really do understand the opportunity that I have. And I go and I work really hard because I'm coming from a place where I cannot read, I cannot understand the language, and I cannot speak the language. But I'm so hungry for learning. I understand that I'm in the middle of an opportunity, and I really do roll up my sleeves. I was the eldest in my classroom. And very rapidly, what happens, Jeremy, is I end up jumping classes. So I come out to be the best student because I just went all in. I worked super hard. So I was able to beat everyone. And also in terms of behavior, I simply had the best behavior. Coming from Africa, we really do have more respect for our teachers than even our own parents. So for me, I am this young lady, no, little girl at that point, but the behavior is just impeccable, right? So I used to see some comrades just, being funny with the teacher. I never really understood that, and it wasn't really my behavior. So to cut the story short is the primary school, which is 6 years in Belgium, I only did 3 years. At the end of every year, they just had to jump me forward because the marks I got, the grade were just incroyable, and then also the behavior. So they felt, let's move her up. So in the end, when I finished my secondary school, I had all the delay that I had. I was able to catch back to like a year. So I finished everything at 19 instead of 18, and that was something quite significant. Even my parents, my community, they're very, very impressed with this, this hunger to learn, and this willingness to grow and to grow outside of your comfort zone, and to know that you have a desire, and you're capable to achieve, and if you put in the work, then you really will surely get the result. So really this really shaped me, my early childhood in Guinea, having lived with multiple great figures and role models, and moving into Belgium, change of culture, and also, all the little bits and pieces that I do have a chance to experience, all leads me to kind of the journey that I am on today. What I didn't mention is that when I was 19, I moved to the UK. I pursued my bachelor's degree here in international relations. Very curious about geopolitics, about the world, about leadership, and about the bigger the agenda, the more I'm excited. So very early on, had a chance to go to the UN and access world leaders, listen to their speeches, go to the African Union. So all of that really shapes me into this person that has this vision of me achieving to the highest potential possible, but also coming from a root of kindness, giving back, service to others, in between a lot of lessons, a lot of, shifts, a lot of twists and turns, and just having to adapt and embrace life as it comes my way.
Wow, what a story. And no substitute, hey, for the University of Life sometimes. By 9 years old, you'd had probably the education of an 18-year-old from a life perspective with what you were dealing with. Strong mum, and now a second mum for the family. And why am I not surprised? is that taking up that mantle, the bigger the challenges you've said, the bigger that you'll take that on, and learning from those people who are doing that in front of you. And I really like the fact that you're acknowledging the opportunity that you had while it was daunting at first in Belgium when you moved there. Suddenly something snapped and it was like, right, I get this. I'm going to do it and going to achieve. And then you took control of your own life, even getting to the UK when you're in your late teens. And I do know how much you like that geopolitics element and the United Nations element of it too, having seen you on a couple of stages there, which has been absolutely great. And I can see clearly how you manifest achievement, but with so much humanity at its heart. And yet, to me, you're a brilliant leader of others and of these institutions and your own business, but also a brilliant leader of family, if you like, and community. So I'm going to just bring you forward right now because I know, therefore, there are a lot of moving parts that you're juggling. You have Gamaal, which you're starting. You've got all of these other responsibilities at international level as well. So, how do you get all of those? How do you deal with them, as if you like, from your self-leadership point of view, and how do you drive them forward?
Thank you very much, Jeremy. And before I answer the question, I just want to give you a little bit of context on how I came to discover my calling for Gamaal. And that's very, very important. We need to cover that a little bit. And then, of course, I can share a bit more on handling the different moving parts. The story of Gamaal, although I started last year, February 2023, from absolute rock bottom, the story starts 6 years ago. That was the initial birthplace. And it's me studying for my master's degree and juggling 2 part-time jobs. And I think so many people can relate when you have one job as a student or as an adult, and you feel you just want that extra cash at the end of the month. And for me, I came across cleaning through this new concept. It was an app that will send you some offers and you accept or decline based on your availability. I thought, how wonderful is that? So I just went on, got on with it, did a really good job. But I remembered one day being really overambitious, took 3 clients. At the end of the day, that's 9 hours gone. And come back home completely exhausted, frustrated, tired, and upset with myself. It was like, quite late in the afternoon, and I have to cook dinner for my family. And I walk in the kitchen, I prepare all the ingredients. I'm so tired. I've already been killing myself for 9 long hours, and now I have to cook again. And I remember, I will never forget that moment in my life, is I asked myself a silly question. Why am I doing this? For the first time, I asked myself that question. Why am I cleaning for these people? Why? I wish it was cooking that I was doing instead of cleaning. I love this so much, it doesn't feel like work to me. I could go hours and hours. I'm passionate. And the moment I said that, it's just a magical moment. Because the moment I said this, I'm like, oh my God, Fatoumata, wait, you can create a platform that would connect. Instead of cleaning, you could create a platform that would connect somebody good at cooking a special recipe with somebody who's like a foodie, somebody curious about food, or somebody looking for convenience. I just felt so much pain that I thought, oh my God, how many other people, how many other women are out there trapped in a job where their talent and passion is elsewhere? Because I was coming from that place of pain, that was really, really powerful. So that was the initial birthplace. That's the moment I decide I will do this one day. But I also know now is not the time. I convinced myself I need to know it all, to have all the money, all the resources. So I really don't get to start until I am under arrest. And being under arrest, and I think that's a very, very important point here, because we sometimes we know what we have to do. We know where our passion is, but for some reason, we never take action. So for me, I kept on ignoring it. I locked it in the drawer, and I went to start my career in the corporate world. I went to work for Duke Corporate Education, which you know very well. And then COVID hits, I'm made redundant. So when I'm made redundant, I'm like, maybe it's the time to go back to this idea that I had. But life throws more challenges on me. Is that within 3 months after that, I have a divorce and I have a 7-year-old. And now there's no more homes. So we're facing homelessness. So this is a critical situation that I find myself within such a short period of time, job insecure, housing insecure, food insecure, everything insecure. And whatever I knew up to that point had not prepared me for what was in front of me. I didn't know the housing fight. I simply didn't know that. So for me, for a whole year and a half, was going through that transition, fighting with the housing, demanding for my rights, and having a young child to care for and be there for and give him the love and attention and affection possible. Eventually go back to work, take 2 jobs. But the final wake-up call happened February 2023 when I lost my job again. That was it. That was the most painful moment in my journey so far. I was coming from a place where I'm like, you know what, this housing situation has been dragging for long. I'm tired. It looks like, you're trapped in that system. You know what? I'm going to take the ownership of this. I'm going to go work hard, save, move myself out of this with my son. That was the goal, but it didn't happen like that. It just suddenly gone. I remember crying and being so frustrated. And I recognized a pattern and I said, this is the second time it's happening to me. What's next? At the moment I say, what's next? For me, that was it. That's the moment I understood that there's no perfect conditions. All this time I was waiting for the perfect conditions. And that's the moment I realized this idea that you have, you got to pick it up and do it now. It's now or never. It's a do or die. You're not going to run away from it, because I really felt like I was under arrest. I felt like everything shattered, so I could wake up and take it and run with it. I was coming from that place of vulnerability. I mean, I couldn't probably have survived the past 3 months, but I knew it was then. That's when I decided last year, February 2023, I sat here and I said, I'm taking Gamaal now, and I will start from where I am with what I have, and I'll take one step at a time. That decision, February 2023, 1 year down the line, coming from a place of total vulnerability, not probably being able to survive 3 months down the line, is that today, with all the, the twists and turns, all the lessons, so to kind of summarize that, is today we have an app that is available on Play Store and App Store. We went through all the phases. We went through the phases of developing the MVP, putting a board together, having a small team of international freelancers, and doing a beta, finding a second second team of developers, and doing a lunch in Camden, having the mayor to come and support us, taking the app into Play Store and App Store. Can I just say a word? It's not easy. You don't get there the first time. You don't even get there the third time. You get there between the 5th and the 10th time. You need to have that resilience to fight and come back again. So that was the biggest achievement in July. In August, we were published in the Camden New Journal. And since September, we've been, early adapters, currently only operational in Camden, for the reasons that as a startup, you don't have the capacity and the resources just to go everywhere. You grow gradually whilst also taking feedback and constantly improving. So these are that's the stage we're in. So I know I took you along a long journey to come back to this question. So that's where we are at the moment. We are, the Gamaal app is available for download in the UK on Play Store and App Store. It is operational only in Camden, which is a London borough within London borough in North London, and we're looking to grow our operations here first before expanding into other boroughs, and then take it national, and in a couple of years' time start to expand it into other countries.
Well, I call them moving parts, but what you've had to deal with in terms of challenges in your life, your business, your career, when you lost the jobs, at times when you really didn't need it as well. I mean, who does at any time? But for you, it was just kind of crushing, and having to deal with what you've dealt with around the housing crisis, food security. You have a 7-year old to look like. I mean, talk about a personification of resilience as a as a leader. Absolutely comes across loud and clear. And those tuning in, I'm sure there are many who are feeling like they've got an idea like you have, but they've got all of this stuff to deal with. What would you say to them? And what are the leadership lessons that you've learned that have helped you move things forward while dealing with all of this?
Thank you. That's a question that I really love. And so most people have a lot of ideas, they have dreams, they have aspirations that they want to pursue, but for some reasons they never get started. I remember myself, I had to postpone it for 5 years. And that's because of whether I want to admit it or not. Imposter syndrome kicks in. And so that's one thing. And you're also afraid of so many things. You're afraid of fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of so many other things. But my biggest my okay, so right now I'm thinking in French, but ultimately the thing that really helped me make that leap was the fact that I was sitting in rock bottom. I was coming from a place of total darkness. I was coming from a place where I had lost everything. And the benefit in this, I want to say, is that at that point in time, there was nothing that scared me. I came to the point where I realized that there's nothing more scary for me than losing my purpose. This is my purpose. This is my mission. And my whole life brought me to this point. I need to do something. Not I need, I must. It's a matter of survival. I can no longer run away from it. I must face it, take it, own it, and move with it. I do not have to have all the answers yet. No, because if you're building something great, something bigger than yourself, you can never do it by yourself. You need a whole village. You need an army to help you. It is not a solo game, right? It is a game like in Africa, we have this saying that says the Ubuntu, the Ubuntu, it's a very popular saying, and it's something that says like, if you want to go alone, just go. If you want to go fast, just go alone, and if you want to go far, you must go together, because the reality is that I need you, and because I need you, you also need me, and the whole community, right? So this is really something that I realized whilst I was sitting at rock bottom, is it gave me wings. And when I say it gave me wings, it turned me into a lioness. There was nothing that was more scary than not doing something about this calling that was now becoming so evident and loud. And had I ignored it again, maybe I would go through another phase of kind of thinking I'm building my career and then lose it completely. You see? So my advice to anyone out there who have something really close to their heart, who have something that makes their heart beat, who have something that makes their eyes light and shine. My advice to them is be bold. Be bold, believe in yourself. Really, be bold and believe in yourself. Even if you have no answers, you don't see the nest, you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. That's not the goal. Actually, the goal is to start, and the journey will teach you lessons, and with those lessons you will eventually get there. So be bold to take that decision to start. That's the most important thing. That's the biggest wealth that we all have access to. It's not money, it's not resources, it's not knowledge, it's that sheer willingness, that boldness, that decision to start is the most important one. And it's the one, it is a common currency. It's available to anybody, whichever part of the world you're from, whatever demographic you are, whatever your gender is, it is there. The second thing is be brave. Be brave, because the journey is going to get tough. The going is going to get tough. Absolutely. When you start, everything will align pretty easily. But then eventually, challenges will come your way. I normally like to call it learning opportunities. So learning opportunities will come your way. So just open, embrace, and learn. Be a student of life. The university of life, that's really what it is, right? And then also be you. And the reason be you is today the biggest wealth that you can provide is bringing your authenticity to the table. Is you're not necessarily inventing something new. You are bringing your own approach. You're bringing your own framework. You're offering a new experience based on your own little understanding. So that authenticity is very important. And that authenticity is what's going to differentiate you, is what's going to get people also to value you and value your service or your product. So really do as much as you can, be you, be different. So really, if I can summarize, is these these points here. This is what I can say to anybody out there: be bold, be brave, be you.
Absolutely fantastic. And there is a quick follow-up question I've got for you, but understand the point. And for me, it's so much about mindset. For you, your situation at rock bottom, as you described it, it took away the fear from you. It's like, what else can happen? So let's do it. Let's do it. That mindset shift that said, there's no barriers here now. So let's move on. But as I say, I have a question about that there. And you talked about that decision that you had to make, and it's very, very close to the human survival instinct to fight or flight. You decided to fight, but with wings. So you talked about being a lioness with wings, and I believe that's a griffin, a lioness with wings. So you're the griffin of leadership, Fatoumata. um, but you've gone right back to your village and you've taken the Ubuntu lesson, which is, yeah, I want to do, I'm going to do something, but I know that if I just speed ahead, I've got road bumps. Nobody's going to catch me right there. I need help. So I want to go far. So I'm going to surround myself with people who can help me do that and do that together. And as that summary, like you say, is be bold, have self-belief, be brave, and at the most be you, which I completely agree with. I just want to go back to one point about that hitting rock bottom for you. It removed the fear, and because you're strong and because of your what you've dealt with already, you found that power within you to do it. When some are at that level, they find it really difficult to get that positive mindset back. What would you advise to them about just taking some small steps that might help?
Is constantly reframe the situation you're in. There's a very powerful lesson that I learned from my son, and it will stick with me all my life. It is the first night we went to a hostel, and we walked in, and as a 7-year-old, children are very innocent. They're still in that adventurous world. And my son immediately says, "Mom, are we in a hotel?" And I said, "Yes, darling, we are in a hotel." So from that moment onward, I understood something. I understood that I have the power to reframe. I got that lesson from my 7-year-old, because for me as an adult, I walk in, I'm very uncomfortable. It's got a feeling of prison. Everything about it just makes me so uncomfortable. I'm not well in my skin. I'm not well in my mind. And I've got millions of thoughts going on. But this little child tells me, "Mom, we are in a hotel." I was like, oh my God, wow. I said, yes, we are in a hotel. And I decided from that moment onward that we are going to be like Dora the Explorer. We were going on an adventure. And so constantly reframing the situation, because the situation is what it is, but You can choose to wear different glasses. And the moment you choose to wear different glasses, you will see a different reality. And I think we all are artists. Life is pretty much about being an artist. And that's a really important lesson that I learned. Conditions will never be perfect. You're never going to have it all. Things will never all line up, but you can surely do something. You can take that first baby step. All I did was to focus on, I am here right now. How do I get to that next step? So I didn't ask myself, do I have that knowledge? Do I have the money? Do I have the resources? No. I asked myself, how? And the moment you ask yourself how instead of why, you start getting answers. And so focusing on going to just that next baby step, you start having answers. Talk to who do I know that knows something about this? Is this something that I can do myself? Do I have the knowledge? Yes. Do I have the resources? Yes. If it's no, who do I know? And then, somebody else around you may have the solution. Somebody else around you may have the contact. So really do that baby step that will move you 1 inch closer, not even 1 step, 1 inch, because the more you do many inches of moving forward, the more you get momentum. And that's really what matters. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And there's a lot of lessons you need to learn. The doors will only unlock once you have grasped the lessons. And you won't get the lessons until you move. One of my coaches said, Fatoumata, a parked car cannot be steered. And I couldn't agree more. Once you move the car, then you'll be able to take a roundabout. You'll be able to turn a left. You turn right. But it really starts with moving. Move. Do a step, an inch of move. That is what I can advise to them. The more you do that, the more the fear disappears. And constantly, your constant battle will be turning the noise at the back of your head. That will be your constant. As long as you will leave, you will have that there. You just have to turn it into your friend, your best friend. Talk to it constantly, reassure it. The way you do that is by taking those inches.
Yeah, I like that. And many of us have had those voices in our heads that need a good talking to sometime as well. I'm just thinking also that we might have to get your son on here. Sounds like a great coach for you. It's like, yeah, see it through different eyes. It's a hotel. Of course it's a hotel. And it's an adventure. There aren't barriers here. It's an adventure. Let's just see what's around the corner. And do that. So that reframing, I really understand, is a great place. And I completely agree with you when it's those increments which make a difference, the inches rather than the miles that you're trying to go. Is like, otherwise you might be daunted. It's like, what can I do in the next hour? Or what can I do just today? One little thing, or this week, one little thing. That any little thing helps. Well, it's been a great conversation and lots of nuggets for those tuning in, Fatoumata. I really appreciate you joining us. I'm sure those leaders tuning in will want to find out more, connect with you on LinkedIn, find out more about Gamaal as well. How do they do all that?
So they can find out about Gamaal. I'm very active on LinkedIn. Mainly, I take personal branding and storytelling very seriously. So LinkedIn is the main platform to get hold of me personally. But Gamaal is active on all the social media, and we do have a website, and the app is also available for download. However, I want to say that if you live outside of Camden, at the moment, we open the Camden postcodes, right? And gradually we will open for the rest. But yes, so this is how to get hold of me and us as Gamaal.
Fantastic. Well, Fatoumata Diallo, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you so much, Jeremy Blain, for this opportunity. I'm so glad to be on the Rethink Leadership podcast. Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in to the Rethink Leadership podcast with me, Jeremy Blain. Please like, comment and support us on your favourite platform, and subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can watch as well as listen to each episode.